Well, hello everybody. Where have I been, right? Every weekend I think I really want to make a podcast today. And every weekend, like the time just flies by. Hi, in case we haven't met before, I am Kathleen. I live in the US, in the state of Colorado. I am a knitter, a weaver, a crocheter. Weaving is new. So for my finished objects, because as I had mentioned, weaving is really kind of taking over my life right now in a wonderful, delightful way. And I'm learning a ton through practice. But I finished, and if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen this. I finished my first round of dishcloths. In my lesson, I had woven two dish towels. And after now having done the weaving that I've done, I feel like I probably could have used a different heddle based on the yarn that was given to me to weave those dishcloths. I feel like, I don't even remember what kind of heddle it was. It might have been a 7.5 that they had me using in that class. I feel like I probably needed one after having woven a few things now. I feel like they could have moved me up to a 10. Would have been better for the yarn that they had helped me select. That's a whole other subject because I really felt like I wasn't served as well as I could have been in those lessons, and maybe enough attention. I really wasn't getting the attention that I felt we paid for, my husband paid for. I really feel like I won't go back there for any kind of lessons. I think all the lessons I take will probably end up being online at this point or from somebody else. That said, I've gotten a lot of practice now and tried a few different things. And I finished, if you follow me on Instagram, I finished a whole stack of these. These are dishcloths that I made for myself. And these were my first attempts at dishcloths. I love using dishcloths, and I really wanted to have a stock of them. I had no idea, however, that when you weave, I could overwhelm myself with dishcloths. So maybe this will be my thumbnail. Here are just a couple of my dishcloths that I had made and we've been actively using, and they're doing really well. I didn't know about a hem stitch at the time when I made these. And now that I know what I know, and I just realized this one's unraveling. See that? So that's a good example of, I think, see, this is unraveling, this one. So my zigzag stitch didn't obviously go all the way to the edge because it didn't catch these fibers, these warps here, and it's been washed a few times, and so I can see where the zigzag stitch is stopping. I hope I'm holding that so you can see it, because I know I need to get my face out of the picture. So they had me just zigzag stitch. That's what I was told, just zigzag stitch the edges and it'll be fine. Well, guess what? It actually works better if you do a hem stitch on the end and then zigzag over the hem stitch. And this I learned by watching some YouTube videos, actually. Fiber Love Diary is literally my Bible, one of them when it comes to weaving. She's done not a lot of episodes on weaving, but she has a few episodes on weaving and a few episodes actually on dishcloths, which is really what got me into it, and dish towels. And that and Curly and Yarny is another podcast that I've been watching that they actually talk about the hem stitch. And I'll show you in a second a bunch that I've made that I used the hem stitch on and then zigzagged over the hem stitch. And I feel like these are not going to unravel. This is the first I've seen of this happening with my first round. So we'll have to keep an eye on this, but this is a really good lesson learned that you have to do a hem stitch, some kind of hem stitching on the end to finish off the end of your dishcloths. And I think the same is also true. Again, I'm a novice. I'm brand new at this. So I think the same is also true of if you do a scarf or a blanket or a throw or whatever. If you're going to do a rolled hem and sew that like on a dishcloth, You don't really need a hem stitch at that point, but it does help to secure those warp ends, and I guess even the warp ends and the weft ends for that matter. And this is another one. So it was fun. So that was great practice. Learned a lot. And they are wearing really well, other than those that, but they look like they're kind of coming unraveled a little bit. Then I warped for more of them. My hope is actually to open a Shopify storefront, online storefront, and start selling things that I've woven online. I'm never going to sell. I'll tell you right now, you can take this to the bank. I will not do any knitting and selling it. That is just too time consuming and too precious. But weaving, you can accomplish a lot with weaving, and I feel like I can really crank out a lot of stuff that I can then sell. So I think my first Shopify update will probably have all of the samples, all my practice samples. They'll be cut rate. I'll sell them super cheap, but because they're flawed, they're me learning how to weave. And so I think what I'm going to do, because I'm already building up a stock of stuff, I'm going to sell things that I have woven that are my practices. And then when I get good enough, then the prices will go up and I'll start selling things that are much higher quality. If you follow me on Instagram, you also saw this. So I knit some more dishcloths, and these are just plain weave. I think it's just called tabby. It's just a plain weave, and they're very beautiful. These are ironed. So this is after they are woven, finished, washed, and ironed. So I do iron these just so that I could sell them. I don't obviously iron them to use them every day. These clearly are not ironed. But these, because they're going to go in my Shopify shop, these are ironed, and so they look nice and crisp. And the tabby weave is really nice because it does make a really nice crisp, let's see, I'll do it like this. It really does make a nice crisp fabric. And I love this. There's a name for this. I think it's tracking, but this just happens naturally in this. I don't know if it's this particular fiber or what, but it happens when you're weaving. These are all, by the way, I was using markers, but I think tension really changes how big they are, because this one is a lot smaller. Can you see the size difference? It's a lot smaller, and I was going for 10 by 10, and it's a lot smaller. Oh, by the way, this is what we call clasped weft. So that pattern that you can see is a result of a technique called clasped weft when it comes to weaving. And it's so fun because, I'm sure it can be used for a lot of things like tapestry and things like that, but I had fun literally just playing around with it doing these dishcloths. So there's some more of them. Clearly, I love turquoise. And this is just sugar and cream yarn. And this is a little more of that, here we go. This is a little more of that clasped weft. And I only did it in the white on this one. So this is just that white variegated that's on this side. I didn't do the blue, like I didn't do on this one. This one, I did clasped weft. That's hard to say. Clasped weft for the white and for the blue. So you can see some of the blue over on this side and the white over on this side. But this one, I only did it in the white. So it's almost like it gets dripping down, which is kind of cool. So that was fun, learning the my goal when I was working on those was just to teach myself the clasped weft. And that was fun. I really enjoyed that, and it'll be part of what I'll do in my makes. I will include that and incorporate that somehow into the design. So I made those. And then just 2 nights ago, couple nights ago, a couple nights ago, I finished my latest weaving project. It is more dishcloths, and that's because right now I only have a 7.5 dent heddle, and I can only do things that are a little bit heavier gauge. So right now I'm doing, this is just, I think this is actually, it's actually Peaches and Cream from Walmart. This is Peaches and Cream. This is Sugar and Cream. This is Sugar and Cream. This is Sugar and Cream. No, this is Peaches and Cream. I think these two are the only two that are Sugar and Cream, and I got those at Joann Fabrics. And the rest of these are Peaches and Cream. And I have to do things that are more of what we would call worsted weight with the 7.5 dent heddle, because it's just the number of, is it reeds per inch? I don't know, I'm still learning all this stuff. But basically, it's kind of like wire, right? So the higher number in the gauge of wire, the skinnier it is, right? Isn't that how it works? And the lower number in the gauge of wire, the bigger it is. So a 7.5 dent heddle, I can do more of your bigger yarns. I think in a 5 dent, I could probably do like bulky weight yarns and chunky weight yarns. A 7.5 seems to be more of your worsted and Aran weight yarns, and then it goes down from there. So I did order a 12 dent heddle. It hasn't come yet. I think there might be some production issues or something with Shacked, which is the brand of, back there, my loom right there. That's the brand loom I have. And because I tried actually ordering directly from the manufacturer, and I tried ordering from online, and I actually called up my local distributor, and nobody has a 12 dent heddle right now. And they're all like 2 or 3 weeks out. So I feel like there's probably a production issue or something going on. But I am hoping to get my 12 dent heddle soon that I ordered, because I want to make dishcloths in a finer gauge. And I'll show you that difference in just a second. I almost feel like I have to kind of mix acquisitions in here. It might happen just organically that way, because I've already showed you my Peaches and Cream that I bought. But so I only have a 7.5 right now, so I can only do things that are more of your worsted weight, worsted and Aran. So I have finished some more dishcloths. So this time I was practicing the waffle weave technique. I really wanted to try making some dishcloths using waffle weave, because it really seems like something that might be good for like really scrubbing dishes well. Although I will tell you, these work great. This is just tabby weave, and this works phenomenally for scrubbing dishes. I can get most things off my dishes just with this and not having to use one of those like scrubby scrubbers. I actually use a natural bristle brush instead of a plastic scrubby. I'm trying to do away with plastics in my life as much as I can. And this really actually gets off most things that are stuck to your dishes. So it does a pretty good job, other than scouring. You can't scour with this, but getting stuck on food, it does seem to work. But I thought, well, let's try waffle weave. So I made some waffle weave, and I wanted to learn the technique of waffle weave too, because you can apply it to so many different fabrics that you want to make. So this is one of, how many did I get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 9 of them out of this warping that I did on my loom. So this is, I don't remember what color this is, but it is it's called like Sunlight or something like that. This is Peaches and Cream that I used. And you can see I used a lot of it because this is the size it was when I started. So I did all my warping, actually all of the warping. I didn't do any white in the warping. I only did this color in the warping, but then I added some white into my weft in some of them. But this is how much I've used to make 9 dishcloths. So here's one, and this is, I did do the hem stitch on this. So this has the finished hem stitch. There were lessons learned here. One of the things I learned, and you'll see it maybe a little more pronounced maybe in this one. Do you see how it flares out at the top and bottom? Maybe, let's see. It definitely flares out more at the top and bottom. And so I think there's a couple things going on here, much like in knitting when you do cable stitches or even rib stitch, and it pulls the fabric in. The waffle weave seems to also do the same thing. So in other words, I'm getting more shrinkage where the waffle weave is. So I think in order to have less flare, I probably need to do some tabby weave on the end, because what I did here is I did tabby weave. I did tabby weave at the top and bottom, thinking I wanted like a border. What I was going for was a border, so that the waffle weave wasn't the whole thing. I think if I make more of these, I might just do the whole thing waffle weave instead of giving it this border, or I might give it this border on both ends, and you can see the flare there. And maybe I'll do tabby weave here. So 5 rows, because this is 5 rows of weft. And maybe I'll do, with my pickup sticks, maybe I'll make it so that these 5 stitches on either side are also tabby weave. Like the fun part of this is just like playing around with weaving. It's just a lot of fun playing around with the weaving. And the pickup sticks were so fun. We'll get into that in a minute. So I mostly did just plain waffle weave. There's a whole bunch of them, just in a plain waffle weave. This one I think I have a mistake in, because like right here, I don't know if I did the wrong combination or something, I don't know, but this side you see all waffle weave on this side and it's even. This side I have this section down here where it almost looks like I might have done a row wrong. I'm not really sure. A pick. I might have done a pick wrong. But I'm going to show you. There's more. I mean, do you want to see all of them? Boring. But then towards the end, when I was like, oh, wait a minute, let's play around with combining tabby and waffle to just kind of get a like plain weave and waffle weave to get even more texture, even more of a I guess a different look to it. And so what I did here, and you can even see there, do you see how it goes in a little bit where the waffle weave is, and then it goes out where this is the tabby section, the plain weave section, and then I have 2 repeats of waffle. And then so it's basically 2 2 2 2 2 2. So waffle, plain, waffle. And they actually come out a little more square that way because they don't pull in where the waffle weave is. I actually like these a lot. I think I like these better than the ones that are all waffle weave. I like the fabric it makes a little better too when you combine the two. And they kind of look pretty, right? I mean, I like the different textures of combining the plain weave and the waffle weave. And I did do some where I used white on the weft. These are using just that variegated, the yellow variegated on the weft, as well as the warp. So that was fun. I feel like they don't come out as neat and tidy ironed as the plain weave ones do. So they might end up as gifts. I'm not really sure, but again, I might sell those in a Shopify store as my practice samples and just make them really, really cheap. The other nice thing about this is because this is just like production manufactured cotton yarn, and it's not even, I don't want to say it's not good quality cotton, but I think there's probably something like any other yarn, the twist and the quality of the individual fiber itself. You know, this is an inexpensive yarn. And so I think maybe I might try a little more higher quality cotton yarn and see what kind of dishcloths I get out of that. Is it worth it? I don't know. We're talking dishcloths here. These things get used and washed so often that, you know, I almost really feel like I can't have too many of them in the house. But quite frankly, that's too many. So I don't need that many. So I really feel like I'm going to open that store and I'm going to start selling them. Okay, so those are my finished objects. That really is all of my finished objects. It's just my Joni top and all of those things that I have woven. So next we'll get into, we'll do acquisitions, and then at the end we'll do the giveaway. So if you don't want to see the acquisitions, fast forward to the giveaway if you want to see if your name was drawn. I had 19 entries, so you have a really good shot. If you entered, you have a really good shot at winning this because there's only 19 entries. Okay, so for my acquisitions, I did buy a whole bunch of the Peaches and Cream yarn. I got some really great colors. I went to Walmart and just like went to town with whatever they had there. They didn't have as good of a selection in the cones as they did in their balls of cotton yarn, which was a little disappointing because I wanted some other colors, and they had a lot of variegateds in the cones, and I was really hoping to get some more neutral colors, maybe some natural colors in, or I guess like beiges and more sedate colors. And they only had those in like grays and things. They only had those in the balls. They didn't have it in the cones. And that's the other thing I discovered. And I really enjoy using coned yarn. And coned yarn is just not really common in the US, except maybe for things like this, or if you're buying yarn for weaving. It's just not that common. And I see it all the time in European podcasters. I have such cone envy because you can get such a quantity, which means anytime you can buy something in bulk, right, it's usually cheaper. So you can get such a great quantity in the coned yarn and then have so many projects you can make from it. And I love coned yarn, and I loved how it stores because it stays, even when you use a bunch of cone yarn, ooh, yowza. Even when so you can see how much, this is the sugar and cream and this is the peaches and cream. Well, you can kind of see a little bit of the color difference between them, but they store. So if these were balls of yarn and this was one full, say, ball of yarn, maybe in cake form, it would look beautiful, right? And it would store really well. If this had been a cake of yarn, it would be collapsing in on itself at this point. Or if it was a ball, it would be teeny tiny. These store really, really, really well. So I love cones for that reason. And I have my cone that I'm using in my Battenberg blanket too. It has a lot on it and it just stores really well. So I would love to find a source in the US for more coned yarn for knitting, different fibers for knitting, not just for weaving. I have not yet found it, but I will continue looking. If you're aware of any, put it in the comments below because I would love to hear about it. So I got this color. This one is, what is this color called? I can't even find the color. Hold please. Kathleen needs her glasses. I don't usually wear my glasses for podcasting because like everything reflects off of them. This one is called, where's the name? This one is called Ocean Stripes. I I don't remember the name of this one, but that's really cool. I love this shot of yellow and bright turquoise in there. And then you saw the white, you saw the yellow. Then I have this color too. Come on in. I can always edit this part out. You're going to be in my video, just so you know. There he is. I told you, we got work going on in the house. It's an active construction zone. And then this was, you had seen this last time, I think. This is the sugar and cream. I don't remember the names of all the colors. If you care, ask in the comments and I will put it in there. I'm not even gonna bother putting it in the show notes because you probably don't care. It's sugar and cream or it's peaches and cream. Walmart's, Joann Fabrics, they all pretty much carry these. If you're not in the US, I don't know where you could get peaches and cream and sugar and cream. I'm not really sure. Peaches and cream, I'm pretty sure, is a Walmart brand. Sugar and cream is a US domestically made. I think you could probably get it in Canada too. But I'm not really sure, other than ordering it online, I'm not really sure where you could get it if you live anywhere outside of the US or Canada. But it's basically just a cotton yarn, coned cotton yarn. So if you have access to coned cotton yarn and you're weaving, you already know about these things, so you don't need me to tell you about it. But these are the colors I was able to get that I felt like they'd be good for dishcloths. Most people would probably use them in their kitchens. I love the cheeriness of the yellow and orange. So that is one of my acquisitions, is that cotton. Then I'm going to kind of go in order of when I got things. I only have, I think, 3 or 4 things. Then I remember when I said I decided I wanted to try my hand at waffle weave, I had to buy some pickup sticks for myself. So I have a 24-inch loom. So these are 24-inch or 25-inch. So these are 25-inch pickup sticks. I got 2 pickup sticks and I love them. When I was getting into using them, I was like, wow, I feel like a professional weaver now. Because it's so fun, the textures and patterns you can create just by inserting the pickup sticks and then either sliding them forward towards your heddle and either flat or lifted up. You get all these different things going on and happening. And actually, I think the times when I didn't get on my waffle weave were on the opposite side. I didn't get that same waffle texture, I think, is when I forgot to slide these forward. Because you slide these forward and one thing happens on one side and you lift them up and one thing happens on the other side. So it just creates different sheds basically. And that's where you put your shuttle through. The shed is the separation of the warp, the upper and the lower. And that space in between is called a shed. And then you slide your shuttle through there with the weft yarn on it. I am probably not describing this very well. Again, have I said I'm a novice? My descriptions will get better as I get better at it. But I absolutely loved playing with pickup sticks. And I'm really glad that I got these that have this kind of beveled point on them because they're very easy to use. I've heard that some people use paint mixing sticks. And I think that's fine, except that actually picking up the weft with the cotton, it would probably be fine because it's worsted weight cotton and it's pretty thick. I think you could probably get through there and pick up the warp pretty well. But if I was working with a finer gauge yarn, like the one I'm going to show you in a second, I think it would be trickier to pick up all the warp just because it's just, you know, a painting stir stick is not beveled like this on the end. I don't know if you can see that, but it's beveled and there you go. And it's smooth and polished, and this is a really nice tool. I think this is birch or beech wood, I can't remember. It's a really nice wood. And these, by the way, are made not far from me. These are all made and manufactured in Boulder, Colorado. The company is in Boulder, Colorado, and as far as I know, everything is made there too. So I love supporting a local company, and that they're a very well recognized national brand, maybe even international, I don't know, but they're a well recognized brand. I really appreciate that. And their quality is 100% there. Everything about this loom is high quality, and so far all of the Shacked accessories I have purchased, very high quality. The next thing I got, and this I bought from a friend in town who is also a maker, who sometimes makes things and puts them in an Etsy shop. Sometimes she makes things for herself, and I message her and I say, oh my gosh, I love that. This time I said, oh my gosh, I love that. When are you going to have a shop and put it in your Etsy shop? And she's like, Kathleen, I'll make one for you. When would you like one? I'm like, I am not worthy. She made one for me. Look at this. Oh my God, I love this so much. So the Knitting Type on Instagram is a local maker for me, Sarah, and she used to work in my local yarn shop. That's where I met her and got to know her. And she made this for me, and I went to her house to pick it up, and I feel like I've met a kindred spirit. And Sarah, if you're watching, I love you, and you're an amazing maker, and you are a kindred spirit, and my soul resonates when I talk to you. Just telling you. This is a project bag she made herself. She quilted this herself. Now, what she told me was this is, I guess quilting fabric comes, I'm not a quilter, so I don't know these things, but quilting fabric, and those of you who sew know this well, I'm sure, you can buy it in sets so that you get coordinating patterns and colors and things like that to make something. And this was a set she had gotten, and she had made one for herself and put it on Instagram, and I was like, oh my God, I love it so much. And she made one for me. She even put this adorable, can you see this? Oh, she put this adorable little owl on here as a pull, aka progress marker. And I'm 100% in love with this bag. So this is quilted, has a zipper top, and it has, oh, actually, her card's inside. I don't know if she wants her email shown, so I'm not going to, here, I'll show you this one. This is who she is on Instagram. So feel free to DM her on Instagram if you're interested in her products. Just know that she is also a full-time student too. So she, she's not just making. So her ability to get things up in her shop quickly are going to be limited by her available time. So no pressure, Sarah, but guess what? I love this, and I think everybody is going to love this when they see it. Do you see her little wooden thing on here too? Her little words, Kathleen. Tab, logo. It's wood. It's a little piece of wood. It's so pretty. And then inside is a plain muslin. So it's a plain cotton muslin inside. And it is flat bottomed. So you see it's got a square bottom. And this will easily hold a sock project. And I could easily get my 2 balls of yarn in here and sock and all my accessories and stuff. So this will be a really great small project or a sock project bag. So I just got that. Thank you, Sarah. I love it so much. Oh my God, these colors. Oh, I just so love them. And I did buy these, by the way. I had to buy those, so that's an acquisition. And then the last thing I got was, I have to get up for a minute. Oh, please. Okay, excuse all the banging you probably hear. I did mention that this is an active construction zone, so we are doing an addition to our house, and my husband's a contractor, and he is working on the weekends. He's trying to do his best not to get into interfere with my podcast, but it can't be avoided. Okay, so I told you I love Fiber Love Diary, and she talks frequently about, I know the name was on here. It's Great, I can't remember if it's Great Northern Weaving or Great Northern Weavers. But she talks about them often, and that's where she gets her 8-2 cotton. I am really learning the difference between Aran, worsted, sport, DK, fingering, all the terms we use in knit and crochet, and how the terms are different when it comes to weaving. So I don't even know if this would be considered a light fingering weight, Actually, this even looks like lace weight, maybe even cobweb. No, I think this is probably considered lace weight. Yeah. Can you see that? Oh man, it's pretty thin. I'm pretty sure this would be considered lace weight yarn. This is 8/2 cotton, and these are all half pound. Or are these 1 pound? No, I'm pretty sure these are half pound. That's the other thing, it goes by the pound. These are half pound cones, spools. I think maybe they're called spools. I don't know, because they're not like, this is definitely a cone, right? It's a cone shape. I think this might be called a spool. And she talks about them. Trish at Fiber Love Diary talks about Great Northern Weavers all the time because I think it's like fairly local for her, and it's a reasonably priced source for things like this, for especially cotton, for making a lot of dishcloths and things like that. And after having made all of these dishcloths, I really want to branch out into making dish towels too. How I kind of envision it is maybe on my own Shopify store, I think, or Etsy. I'm trying to figure out which is going to make sense. I really see myself initially doing a lot of home goods like this, home decor stuff like this, only because it's something that I can have fun doing a variety of colors and textures and designs with, and stay away from garments and things that, you have to worry about fit. And so I thought, well, to start, cotton is relatively inexpensive. So as I'm learning these skills, I can make these pieces, and as I get better, I can charge a little more from them. But initially, they're going to probably be fairly inexpensive because the materials themselves, they're not cheap. Your time is not cheap. And every maker undervalues their products. But we all know that because we're competing with China and India and the places where they have manufacturing and basically slave labor, in some cases, very non-humane ways of making people work. Not fair trade. This is made from us, from our hands. And we are not charging what we really probably should charge. Did you see the lights just dim? The husband just ran the table saw. Words, Kathleen, words. In order for a maker really to make what she put into her makes, dollar-wise, nobody would buy them because we're competing with China and we're competing with India, where they have, really cheap labor and people work for a pittance, and they should not. They should not have to. Human labor is not valued in some countries like it should be. But we couldn't charge what we would need to charge to make things. So, on my Shopify, initially, they'll be fairly inexpensive because I'm learning. You're going to be buying my practice pieces as I'm learning. As I get better, I'm going to start increasing my prices because at that point you'll be paying for my skill as well. But this source is phenomenal for the cotton that I'm going to be using for dishcloths or dish towels. So the dishcloths, I feel like I can use sugar and cream or peaches and cream, or Knit Picks has some cotton yarn as well. I can use that for dishcloths, but for dish towels, you need a little bit different of a texture and a density to the fabric. So dishcloths are pretty thick, and you want them fairly thick. But a dish towel, you don't want a thick dish towel. So this, and I believe this will be considered maybe an 8/4 cotton. I don't know, but this is an 8/2 cotton, and as you can see, it is very thin. It's very thin as compared to, I can even put them over my hand together. You can see the difference. You see that? See how thin the blue is compared to the white? So the white is a much heavier gauge, and this blue one is a much finer gauge. I went to town. I'm just going to tell you, I went to town because I felt like this is an investment I'm making in a potential business opportunity for myself. And if I really want to do this well, I really need to get a lot of practice in this. So I have a lot of the peaches and cream yarn and a lot of sugar and cream yarn. Not a ton, but I have, you know, quite a bit to make quite a few things with to really learn the craft. But when I saw the prices on Great Northern Weaving, I was like, this is actually really reasonably priced, and it's probably in my best interest, in order to be able to make a better variety of things and have more colors that I can work with, to invest in a good stock of probably what is your most basic colors. And I'm probably going to order a little bit more from here, because what I realized after I ordered all this is I don't have enough neutral colors. There's only one, and I really thought I had ordered like 2 of some of them. It turns out, I guess when I hit submit, there was a couple of them I missed updating the cart so that I had 2 of them. I think the only one I have 2 of is gray. So, oh my goodness, it's very heavy. This is a lot of yarn. This is, it's 2 layers in here. I don't know if you can see it. It's 2 layers in here. And I don't even think it's called yarn. I think it's actually thread at this point. It's weaving, different terminology, and it is much, much finer gauge. But I got, so this is just like a basic, I think this is like a basic primary red. I got white. I got this deep mossy green. I got this lighter jade-ish kind of green. It's like a grass green, and this is like a deep forest green. I got a purple. You saw the blue. I have a black. I have a navy blue. I have a yellow. I have a natural color. This is different from, do you see it's like a cream color? It's different from the white, so this is like a natural cream color. I have, this is another shade of green. This is slightly, so this one has a little more blue in it. This has more yellow in it. I have, is this the same blue? Oh, it's slightly different, isn't it? This is like a royal, maybe this is actually like crayon blue almost. And then, did I pull out the navy? Yeah. This is a navy. And this is like a coneflower. Actually, I think this actually might even be called coneflower blue. I have this darker purple, like a really, like an eggplant color, and I think that might have been called eggplant. I have this red, which is different from this one. Not as bright. This is more of like a true cherry. This is like primary color red. I have brown. I have this beige color, tan color, and this is kind of, you see the color difference there? There are 2 tans. This is a cooler tan. This is a warmer tan. Warm, cool. I don't remember what the color names are on all these, and it doesn't have it on it, and unfortunately, like I would have to go on the website and try to figure out all the colors I got. These 2 are the same. I think this is where I might have gotten things right, actually. So then I have this light gray. You can see it's not white. It's a light gray. And then I have this slightly more medium gray. It's still very light, but it's definitely a little darker than this light gray. And then the one I got right is I got 2 of this gray, which is a little darker still. So this is that other medium colored one I showed you. So I think my light might be a little bit yellow because I'm in my kitchen. Might be a little bit yellow, but so I did get 2 of this one. This is the only one I got 2 of, and I really thought I had ordered 2 of this and 2 black and 2 white actually. And I know I'm probably going to need more black and white, but I did get 2 of this gray. So that is all of this 8-2 cotton that I ordered, and this is in order to make dishcloths. Now, The only thing I'm waiting on now at this point is the heddle, because I don't have a 12 dent heddle. So I can't do anything with all of this fiber, all this thread, yarn, whatever you want to call it, until I actually get my 12 dent heddle. And then after doing a little more research online and paying a little more attention to some really great weaving sources I have, I might want 2 12 dent heddles, and I probably want 2 10 dent heddles, because with 2 10 dent heddles it then gives me 20 dents. And also then at that point I can do, and those of you who weave know this, I can do like double, not double thickness, but like double my width of my loom. So I can basically increase the volume that I can weave just by doing 2 heddles on my loom. Y'all are probably screaming at your screens right now going, Kathleen, you're an idiot. You can do this, 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 and this. I'm still learning. That's really heavy. So yeah, stay tuned, because we're going to be learning more when it comes to weaving. The other thing I learned was, and this I learned basically as I went along, I invested in and bought, and it was not cheap. I bought a comb, like a beading comb for weaving, and it's a shacked, I'm pretty sure it's a shacked one. And so it's really valuable when you have to make your wefts a little tighter on the end, if you want to look to increase your density on your hem maybe. But then I was like, okay, why can't I just use this? Like $1 from Walmart, or, you know, the dollar store or whatever. And I tried it, and it works, and it works great. So if you're learning how to weave, I would say don't buy one of those expensive wooden, really beautiful, well-balanced wooden comb thingies, and start with one of these, because this worked great. And you know, you can get these in different wide tooth combs in different sizes, so, and they're a lot more affordable. You could have a whole bunch of these in different widths of the teeth, just by going to like the dollar store or Sally or Walmart or Target or whatever and getting a bunch of these in different widths and sizes, than buying one of those expensive beater finger comby thingies. You know what I mean, right? Okay, we have gone through all the acquisitions. I am still working on my Battenberg blanket. I think we talked about this, right? The Battenberg is like 10 years from now, that'll be done. All right, the moment you've been waiting for. We have had 19 comments. 19. I had 19 comments on my last post, on my last video. I am so happy about that. And there are prizes coming to whoever my random number generator picks. I actually went online, and thank you, by the way, for commenting, subscribing, liking, all of the things. I loved reading your comments. I loved reading what everybody's making. I love too when I get like some tips. I think somebody commented on getting my face out of the video when I'm showing something, because it makes the camera actually focus on it better. I think the other problem is if I hold something, this is just an iPhone, and it's not like a really nice DSLR or anything. So when I hold something too close, it doesn't like it because it's just too close. I think it's less to do with my face being in the picture and more to do with how close I'm holding things, quite frankly. But I do appreciate when people make comments on like some technical things that are irritating to you or could be better. I'm always looking to make this podcast a little bit better. Okay, here we go. I have my YouTube random comment picker, and I loaded the particular episode, and it shows there are 19 comments. We're gonna go pick a winner. Tammy M is the winner. Tammy M, hook and rod in hand. You're the winner. So Tammy, if you want to do me a favor, my email address is in the comments below, or in the description box below. Shoot me an email with your mailing information. I'm not going to put it in the comments. You guys, we all know by now that there are scammers online who are trying to take advantage of YouTube podcasts where there might be a prize to try and get your private information. I will not put anything in the comments below saying you have won. Send me your money. No. This, Tammy, girl, this is going to cost you a penny. I'm going to cover everything, including the shipping. So Tammy says, the project I am loving working on right now is crochet baby sweaters. Oh, my grandson's 4 years old and I miss those little tiny baby things. I love it, Tammy. I hope you have a really great reason, like grandkids coming, to be making those baby sweaters. But Tammy, you won. All right, guys. So what did Tammy win? Vanna, what did Tammy win? Okay, excuse the crinkling. Remember, I love crinkling, but excuse the crinkling. Tammy won, and this was donated to the podcast by Yarn is a Sport. You should follow her on YouTube as well. I think I mentioned this last time. Dawn is a super sweet gal. I really love Dawn. Dawn donated this bag. So Tammy, you're going to get this bag, and this is huge. You will get a blanket in here. I promise you, you will get a blanket project in here. This is going to hold many baby sweater projects for you. And you also won this yarn. And this was from Dyer Supplier, as I mentioned in the last episode. And this yarn is superwash merino, mohair, and silk. And it is squishy and soft as can possibly be. Someone did mention, I'm trying to remember who, it might have been Dawn at Yarn is a Sport, did mention that I didn't talk about the whole freezer thing. And I haven't actually tried it myself, but supposedly if you freeze your yarn that has, like this yarn that's very fibrous with a lot of mohair in it, if you freeze it before you work with it, supposedly it keeps it from like getting the fluff everywhere. And I think the same is true after you knit something up. Stick it in the, I think you have to knit it up. I'll put it in the description box below. Like I'll put the description of what I found online for what you can do to get less of the fluff everywhere. Because soft fibers, especially anything with mohair, you're going to get fluff. It's going to happen. It's going to be in your lap as you're knitting or whatever. It's just part of working with mohair. But there is a freezer trick. So if I think of it, I will record a quick little video and put it in here. But if not, I'll put a description below in the description box or a link to what I found online to the trick to how to get the freezer thing to work. So congratulations, Tammy. I'm going to send the yarn to you. All the yarn you see in this bag, you're getting this whole bag of yarn. And it even has the little zip ties. So if you decide you want to do any dyeing, because this is natural yarn, it's ready for dyeing if you want. Or I've made a sweater out of it just as it is. And it's a beautiful creamy white color. But you can use these. There's actually way more zip ties in here than you could possibly need. But there are zip ties in here if you decide you want to do any dyeing of it too. So you are going to get this, and you're going to get the Yarn is a Sport bag. And I don't know what it's going to be yet because I haven't gotten it, but I'm going to go to my local yarn shop and maybe get 1 or 2 little things to tuck in there too. Maybe some stitch markers or something like that, something fun to tuck in there that's local to me or is just something that I think is a lot of fun. So just be ready. There's going to be a couple little extra treats in there too. So yay, congrats to Tammy. I am so happy you won. Thank you so much to everybody who took the time to A, watch, B, enter, C, like, D, subscribe, like all of the things. All of that helps my channel grow, and I really appreciate that opportunity. I just love being a part of this community more than anything. I love makers so much, you guys. I love you so much, and I love that we all share these wonderful things that we make every day from our brains and our hands and our hearts. And I just want to thank you so much for watching, for subscribing, for commenting, for liking. All of that really helps me grow my audience a little bit. I hope to have these done more frequently. I say that every time. One of these days I will get these every 2 weeks apart. Maybe it'll happen when I retire someday. I don't know. But for right now, I just want to thank you guys for watching. And hopefully I'm back in another 2 weeks. But if not, you'll probably see me in another month. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye.